Hello everyone, and today I will be taking a look at Season 16 if Q had been eliminated in Episode 5. In this scenario, production is judging based off lip-sync performance alone, and Q is eliminated in 12th place. With all of the judging staying exactly the same through girl groups, with the exception of Q leaving, we start at the Doll Design Challenge. It is episode 6, and while I really doubt Saphira would need it, I do believe she still uses her immunity potion. Since Q is no longer in the competition, we need to bump one safe queen up to high, and we need to bump one high queen up to being the winner. Factoring in the judges' critiques and the overall vibes, I think I'm going to bump Dawn from being high to winning, and then give the new high placement to Nymphia Wind. She did a great 4th place job, and I think production would accept that. The bottoms is where this gets really difficult. We have Amanda, Maya, and Geneva, none of which are great queens in terms of design ability, so it really could go either way. In the end though, a large part of this challenge is the branding and the monologue, and in that department, I think Amanda would be able to outshine Geneva and Maya. Nonetheless, Amanda is low and Maya sends home Geneva. So far, there hasn't been too much change in the season, but Dawn has a win, and the Amanda vs. Plane storyline is continuing on. Episode 7 is the Rusical, and this one is a lot easier. Since Q did not win and Amanda is a solid performer, all we really need to do is bump a queen from safe to high. In this scenario, I think that placement is 100% going to Plain Jane, and the rest of the challenge will carry on as it did. Plasma gets the win with Saphira and Plane is high, Morphine is low while Maya sends home Megami. Episode 8 is Snatch Game, and I really don't think there's gonna be much difference. Amanda was generally funny on the show, but I don't think production is ever gonna give her a high placement, especially since the Plane vs. Amanda storyline is going to be the main focal point of this season. With that in mind, I think the judging is going to be exactly the same. Plane wins with Maya and Saphira as high, Nymphia's low while Morphine sends home Tsunami. This is where things are really going to get different from the original season, as I will be cutting the Goth Design Challenge. From a production perspective, it simply does not make sense to have the Goth Challenge. On the original season, it served the purpose of solidifying Q as a frontrunner and getting rid of Plasma, who is already a frontrunner. In this season though, the scenario is very different and the narratives that we are trying to push are very different. On this season, the main focal point is the Plane vs. Amanda feud, and this is a design challenge which risks getting rid of Amanda. This is not what we want, so already it is a bad idea. Additionally, while on the original season they could get rid of Plasma and still have 4 frontrunners, if we get rid of Plasma here, we only have 3. That makes for much worse TV, so from a narrative perspective, it just does not make sense to have this challenge. This brings us to episode 9, which in this universe is political anthems. Since the immunity potion is going to be expiring this week, Plain Jane will be playing it on Nymphia Wind, saving her from the bottom. While on the original season, this was non-elimination, that will not be the case now for reasons that will become clear very soon. The top queens of the week are going to be Saphira, Morphine, and Plasma. We saw that Saphira and Morphine did a great job here, while Plasma I think would slay. Not only is she a good performer and solid at songwriting, Plasma is one of the few queens this season going in with a pre-built storyline involving politics, as Plasma comes from a family of very prominent Republican politicians. That would make a great narrative for her in this episode, and a high placement would be well deserved. Based off how the judges would critique things and how queens perform throughout the season, Plain Jane and a mandatory meeting are the bottom 2 of the week. While this episode was originally a non-elimination, lightning striking in the form of a Plane and Amanda bottom 2 is something that is not going to happen that often, and when it does, you have to take advantage of that. With that in mind, Plane and Amanda lip-sync to Made You Look. I think Amanda would put up a very strong fight, but this is absolutely Plane's lip-sync to win. She does, sending a mandatory meeting out in 8th place. Now that we are at Final 7, it is time for the Improv Challenge, and for this challenge, Plasma will be taking Q's place on the team with Plane. The High Queens are very obvious based off the original season. Saphira wins and Nymphia is high. Plane and Plasma are safe. I think they would do around the same level as Plane and Q, but I still don't think production's gonna give them a win. Since all of that is the same, the bottom 3 has to be the same. Dawn is low with Morphine getting rid of Maya. There is a chance that this is a double save this season, as Maya has a much better track record here than she did originally. Ultimately though, I don't think production really cared about Maya, and for that, I think she is once again eliminated in 7th place. Next up is going to be the Bathroom Design Challenge, and yet again, Plasma is going to take Q's place, this time being on a team with Morphine. As great as I think Plasma would do in this type of challenge, Saphira and Jane absolutely dominate and are the winners of this challenge. Due to the judging format, Plasma and Nymphia end up as low pretty much by default, leaving us with a bottom 2 of Morphine and Dawn. They lip sync to Body, and I don't feel I need to say anything here. Episode 12 is the makeover, and this one is a bit interesting as I don't really know what Plasma would do. This time I have to judge it almost entirely based off vibes, which is not something I love doing. At bare minimum, we know Plane and Nymphia are going to be in the top, with Plane getting the win. As for Plasma, she's a bit of a wild card. In terms of actual sewing this season, she was not the best, but in terms of the actual runways she brought, she was generally good. At times, she struggled to get out of her aesthetic, but I think this is a challenge where Plasma would be fine. Plasma has a very distinct style in terms of drag, she has a very good brand, and she strikes me as the kind of person who could do makeup on someone else pretty well. With that in mind, Plasma is high, leaving a bottom 2 of Morphine and Saphira. Saphira and Morphine lip sync, it is incredibly close, but at this point, I just don't see how production is gonna get rid of Saphira. She is intrinsic to the narrative of this season. Morphine is gone in 5th place. At the time I am recording this, the challenge has not actually aired, so for the final advertising challenge, I am going to have to go almost entirely based off the little spoilers we know and vibes on how I think Plasma would do in the challenge. For once, I'm actually going to give production the benefit of the doubt that they judged this episode correctly, and I'm going to assume that everything is just gonna work out. So, at this point, the current spoilers for this episode have Nymphia winning, Saphira as high, then Plain Jane sending home Q in 4th place. I do not know whether this is accurate of actual performances, but what I do know is that production did not care about Plasma. With that in mind, and the opinion that I don't think Plasma could outbrand Nymphia or Saphira, Nymphia will win, Saphira will be high, and then Plain Jane is going to eliminate Plasma in 4th place. We end up with the exact same final 3, but an incredibly different path to it, and I think Plasma would be an even bigger fan favorite here. Going into the finale, I think this race is close, but ever so slightly less close than the original season. Going into the finale, Saphira has 4 wins, the same 4 she got on the original season, and 1 bottom in the makeover. Nymphia Wind has 3 wins, the same 3 she got on the original season, and no bottoms. Plain Jane has 4 wins, same ones on the original season, but this time she has an extra bottom. In terms of track record, that puts her ever so slightly behind Nymphia and Saphira, but I don't think it's enough that she's gonna get cut at top 3. With all of this in mind, and the fan support I think the queens would have, Saphira is, in my mind, the clear winner. Plain Jane has the worst track record of the 3, and would likely end up having the worst fan support of the 3. Nymphia Wind is slightly behind Saphira in terms of track record, but not too far. I don't really know how it would play out between the two, as the finale has not aired. I think I'm gonna give it to Saphira. I truly don't know which one of them is going to take it home. My money's on Saphira, and that's what I'm gonna go with here. In the event that I am wrong and either Plain or Nymphia wins, do me a favor and just pretend I was right the whole time, please? In the end, the season has a very similar result. Is it better? I would say no. As much as I love fair judging, the final product that I've created here is not as good as the original season. There's much less controversy surrounding Maya, but on the other hand, a mandatory meeting is going to be dragged through the mud for like 4 more episodes. Plain Jane is not going to get her redemption arc, and we're not going to get as much of the fun workroom moments as we did due to this feud. I am a person who loves drama on Drag Race, but sometimes a feud storyline is just not working out and not enjoyable. That is exactly what happened with Plain and Amanda, and as much as I hate to say it, I do think that storyline being cut short was the best thing for all parties. Hey, it's Drag Race Rejudged. Do you want gay shit? Well then check out the RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged YouTube channel and hit subscribe.